Hello and welcome to part 2 of the chapter 3 C++ examples, and we're starting with example 3-11. In this example, we're showing how you can use the minus equals to subtract the number of widgets sold from the store's inventory. So let's go ahead and run this. And the key thing is using here the minus equals operators. And then there's also a plus equals times divided by modulus equals. But here we're using the minus equals. So we'll go ahead and run this. Okay, so let's say our inventory was 100. Alright, so if we had 20 widgets sold in one store, 30, and 40, you can see what the remaining inventory was there. Okay, example 12. Here we're demonstrating how numbers will normally be output, and here we're separating each number by I think 2 blanks in between each number. So we'll go ahead and run this version. As you can see, it's not really formatted in any way. Because the number of digits in each number varies, the spacing is kind of all over the place. So to address this, in example 13, we first have to include the Io Manip library that you see up here, and then you have to go ahead and do a set W, and then give it the number of characters you want the width of that field to print. So now that the following variable will always print to fit a 6-character width, and it'll be right justified by default. Again, we'll go ahead and run this. So now you see all those same numbers are printed, but now they're right justified on a field that's 6 characters wide. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so in example 14, you'll see that you can use various width size. Here we're going to have a width size of 5, 8, and 16. So if we go ahead and run this, you see this is a width of 5, so put some spacing there. Here it gave a width of 8, and then this is a width of 16, and it automatically right justifies the data inside of that that field. Okay, so for example 15, here we get to actually use a different Io manipulator called set precision, and what that does is that automatically sets a precision on a floating point number the size that we give it to that many significant digits. So here we have two numbers, number 1 and number 2. We calculate the quotient of those two numbers, and then we print out the quotient, and then we print out what the effect is if we call set precision on each time right before we print it. Go ahead and run this. And you see this is the answer here, and depending, when we did a set precision 5, that gave a precision of 5 digits, the 5 most significant digits. So basically it prints the first 5 digits including the decimal places. So as we reduce it, we went to 4 significant, then 3, then 2, and then finally 5, and you see what it does is it actually rounds the number up when it cuts down the precision. Example 16. Here we use a combination of set precision and set width, and you can see what the effects of that are when we run it. So we're going to put what our sales are. All right, you can see here is set precision 5, so it always display the 5 most significant digits. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to add the fixed Io manipulator. And then we're going to run this. So again, we're going to do sales here. Now you can see the difference here is now, since we set the precision to 2, but if we say fixed, then that fixes the decimal places to the right. So it always going to print 2 decimal places to the right of the decimal point. And now we have example number 18. And here we just demonstrate how to read in a name in a city. But one of the issues you're going to see is if we put the first and last name separated by space for name, it's going to give us problems. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's say, let me put John Smith separated by a space. And look, it said, hello John, you live in Smith. Didn't even prompt me for city. And the reason for that is CN, when you're dealing with strings, will only take a string of characters till it hits a white space, not the enter key. So in order to get around that, you have to use Getline, Getline method, function. So now if we change it to use the Getline and run this, and now we put John Smith, and let's say he lives in Waterbury. And here now it takes the name regardless of whether it has space in it until you hit the enter sign. So it gets the entire line until you hit your enter key. So if you're going to prompt for a string that may or may not have spaces, you're better off always using Getline instead of a straight CN. Okay, and our final example for this chapter, here we're just going to show you how to enter a single character. So we'll go ahead and do that. Alright, hold on. Okay, and one thing you'll notice is it only takes the first character. So if you type in any more characters, it doesn't really register the input to hit enter. And then if you typed any other characters, it's just going to take the first character. If you do a CN on a char variable, which is what we did here. We're doing a CN, a CH is a char variable.